15 years. And it all comes down to a cheap room, 237?
I should have known something was wrong when Vanessa started wearing perfume to bed. Not the cheap stuff she'd been using for 15 years of marriage, but something that cost more than my weekly paycheck. Something that smelled like lies wrapped in vanilla and desperation. My name is Owen Oz Riley, and I'm probably the only guy in Boston who's had his balls cut off by both HR and marriage in the same decade. At 41, I'm a union electrician with calloused hands, a sharp tongue, and apparently the observational skills of a dead fish when it comes to my own wife. "You're working late again tonight?" I asked Vanessa as she primped in our bedroom mirror, applying lipstick like she was painting the Sistine Chapel. "Girls' night with Cass and Belinda," she said without looking at me. "We're discussing the quarterly reports." Right. Because nothing says quarterly reports like a push-up bra and stilettos that could puncture a tire. I was sitting on our bed, watching my wife of 15 years transform into someone I barely recognized. The woman who used to steal my hoodies and eat cereal for dinner was now checking her reflection from 3 different angles. "What time will you be home?" I asked. "Late. Don't wait up." She grabbed her purse, a new one I'd never seen before, and headed for the door. Then she stopped and turned back, her face softening for just a moment. "Oz, she started, then shook her head. "Never mind. See you tomorrow." The front door closed with a finality that made my chest tight. Our son Tyler wandered into the room, all elbows and attitude at 14. He had my dark hair and his mother's green eyes, plus the kind of intelligence that made teachers either love him or want to strangle him. "Mom's acting weird," he said, flopping onto the bed beside me. "Weird how?" "She's been getting phone calls and whispering. And yesterday I saw her hide something when I walked into the kitchen." Tyler looked at me with the kind of directness that only teenagers can manage. "Are you guys getting divorced?" The question hit me like a punch to the gut, mainly because I'd been wondering the same thing. "No, buddy, your mom's just going through something." Tyler snorted. "That's what Jimmy's dad said before his mom ran off with the mailman." Out of the mouths of babes, after Tyler went to his room, I found myself standing in our kitchen, staring at the coffee maker and trying to figure out when everything had started feeling so wrong. Vanessa and I used to laugh together. We used to talk about our days, complain about work, plan stupid little weekend trips we couldn't afford. Now we were like polite strangers sharing a mortgage. My phone buzzed. A text from my best friend Nate. "Beer and self-pity at Murphy's?" Nate Kowalski had been my friend since high school, back when we were both stupid enough to think we'd be rock stars. Now he was a plumber with a beer gut and the kind of wisdom that only comes from watching other people's lives fall apart. I found him at our usual table in the back of Murphy's bar, nursing a Guinness, and looking like he had something to say. "You look like heck," he said as I sat down. "Thanks, you're a real confidence booster." Nate signaled the bartender for another round. "Want to talk about it?" "About what?" "About whatever's making you look like someone kicked your dog." I took a long pull of my beer. "Vanessa's been acting strange, distant. She's always out with her friends, always dressed up, always somewhere else." "You think she's cheating?" The word hung in the air between us like a bad smell. I'd been thinking it, but hearing it out loud made it real. "I don't know. Maybe. Probably." Nate leaned forward. "You want to know for sure?" "Part of me does. Part of me thinks ignorance is bliss." "Bees, you're not the kind of guy who can live with not knowing. It'll eat you alive." He was right, of course. I'd always been the type to pick at scabs until they bled. We drank in silence for a while, watching the Red Sox lose on the television above the bar. Finally, Nate spoke up. "You remember when Sarah cheated on me?" I nodded. Nate's ex-wife had run off with her yoga instructor 5 years ago. The not knowing was worse than the knowing. At least when I knew for sure, I could do something about it. "Like what?" Nate grinned, and it wasn't a nice expression. "Like making sure everyone else knew too." I went home that night with Nate's words echoing in my head. The house was dark, Vanessa's car nowhere to be seen. I checked the time. 1:30 a.m., some girls' night. I was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, when I heard her car in the driveway. She crept into the house like a teenager sneaking past curfew. And when she finally slipped into bed beside me, she smelled like cigarettes and cheap cologne. Vanessa hadn't smoked in 10 years, and I sure as heck didn't wear cologne. The next morning, she was gone before I woke up. Tyler was eating cereal at the kitchen counter, still in his pajamas. "Mom left early," he said without looking up from his phone. "Said she had a breakfast meeting. At 6 a.m. on a Saturday. Right. I was pouring coffee when I noticed Vanessa's purse on the counter. She'd left in such a hurry that she'd forgotten it. The old me would have respected her privacy. The new me, the one who was tired of being played for a fool, opened it. Inside, along with the usual female debris, was a motel keycard. Red Roof Inn, room 237. My hands were shaking as I turned the plastic card over in my fingers. This was it. This was proof that my marriage was over. That the woman I had loved for 15 years was screwing someone else in a $40 a night motel room. I should have been angry. I should have been hurt. Instead, I felt something cold and calculating settle in my chest. If Vanessa wanted to play games, I could play games too. I spent the rest of the weekend acting normal, making pancakes for Tyler, watching football, pretending I didn't know my wife was a lying cheat. Vanessa came home Sunday evening with shopping bags and a guilty smile. I bought Tyler some new school clothes, she said, avoiding my eyes. That's nice. How was your weekend? Quiet, just some shopping with the girls. The lies came so easily to her now. I wondered how long she'd been practicing. That night, after Tyler went to bed, Vanessa took a phone call in the bathroom. I pressed my ear to the door and caught fragments of conversation. Can't keep doing this. He's getting suspicious. Just need a little more time. When she came out, I was back in bed pretending to read. Who was that? I asked casually. Work. Crisis with the Henderson account. Another lie. Vanessa worked in HR at a medical supply company. There was no Henderson account. I waited until she was asleep, then crept downstairs and did something I'd never done in 15 years of marriage. I went through her phone. It was password protected, but Vanessa had never been creative. Her password was Tyler's birthday. What I found made my blood run cold. The text messages were like a punch to the gut, one after another after another. Can't wait to see you tonight, baby. Room 237, same as always, MJ. Last night was incredible. You're so much better than your boring husband. MJ, wear that red thing I like, the one that makes your tits look amazing. MJ. I scrolled through weeks of messages, each one more explicit than the last. Pictures too, pictures of my wife that I'd never seen, pictures she'd never sent to me. Marcus M.J. Johnson. I knew the name. He was a trainer at that fancy gym downtown, the one Vanessa had joined 6 months ago for health reasons. 29 years old, all muscles and teeth and the kind of cocky attitude that made me want to punch him just on principle. But the text messages weren't the worst part. The worst part was the group chat. Vanessa had been sharing details of her affair with her friends, Cass, Belinda, and Tara, like it was some kind of entertainment. They called it the MJ Show and treated my humiliation like their personal soap opera. He has no idea, Vanessa had written. Oz actually asked if I was working late. I almost laughed. You're so bad, Cass had responded. But MJ is so hot, that body. And hung like a horse, Belinda added. Lucky witch. The best part is how grateful he is, Vanessa wrote. Like he can't believe someone like me wants him. It's such an ego boost after 15 years of Oz taking me for granted. I sat in my kitchen at 2 a.m. reading my wife's betrayal in real time and felt something inside me break. Not my heart. That would have been too clean, too simple. Something deeper and darker, something that had kept me civilized and decent for 41 years. I screenshotted everything. The next morning, Vanessa was all smiles and apologies. I'm sorry I've been so distant lately, she said, making me coffee like the devoted wife she'd never actually been. Work has been crazy, and I know I haven't been present. It's okay, I said, watching her perform concern. We all go through rough patches. She kissed my cheek, and I smelled MJ's cologne on her skin. After she left for work, I called in sick and drove to the Red Roof Inn. I'd been an electrician for 20 years. I knew how to get into places I wasn't supposed to be. Room 237 was on the second floor, overlooking the parking lot. The maid's cart was 3 doors down. I waited until she went into another room, then slipped her a 20 and spun a story about locking myself out. You're not supposed to be here until tonight, she said, looking confused. So they had a regular schedule. How romantic. The room smelled like passion and disappointment, with undertones of cheap air freshener and industrial carpet cleaner. The bed was unmade, and there were wine bottles in the trash. The good stuff, not the box wine Vanessa and I drank at home. I found a pair of earrings on the nightstand. Vanessa's good ones, the ones I'd bought her for our 10th anniversary. She'd told me she lost them. In the bathroom, MJ had left his cologne and some protein powder. On the counter was a Polaroid camera and a stack of photos that made my stomach turn. My wife, in positions I'd only dreamed about, with a man who looked like he'd stepped out of a fitness magazine. I pocketed the photos and the earrings. Evidence. But as I was leaving, I heard voices in the hallway. Vanessa's laugh, unmistakable and bright. She wasn't supposed to be here for hours. I looked around frantically for somewhere to hide, but it was too late. The door opened, and there was my wife of 15 years, wrapped around a man half my age with twice my muscle mass. They froze when they saw me. "Oz!" Vanessa breathed, her face going white. "What are you doing here?" MJ stepped forward, all swagger and territorial posturing. "Who's this old dude?" "This old dude," I said, surprised by how calm my voice sounded, "is her husband?" For a moment, nobody moved. Then MJ started laughing. "This is your husband? This is the guy you've been complaining about?" He looked me up and down like I was something he'd scrape off his shoe. "Jesus, Vanessa, no wonder you needed a real man." The smart thing would have been to walk away. The mature thing would have been to suggest counseling. Instead, I smiled. "You're right," I said. She definitely needed someone more her speed. Someone young and stupid enough to think she's actually special. MJ's face darkened. "Watch your mouth, old man." "Or what? You'll flex at me?" Vanessa stepped between us. "Stop it, both of you. Oz, we need to talk." "No," I said, "we really don't. I think the pictures explain everything pretty clearly." I held up the Polaroids, and Vanessa's face went from white to green. How did you? Your boyfriend's not very careful with his trophies." MJ lunged for the photos, but I was ready for him. 20 years of construction work had left me stronger than I looked, and I'd been in my share of bar fights. I sidestepped his grab and drove my elbow into his solar plexus. He doubled over, gasping, and I walked past him to the door. "Oz, wait!" Vanessa called after me. I turned back. She was kneeling beside MJ, her hand on his back, and I realized that even caught red-handed, even humiliated, her first instinct was to comfort him, not me. 15 years, I said. 15 years I loved you, and this is what I get. "It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think, and it's going to cost you everything." I left them there in their stinking motel room and drove home with my hands shaking and my mind crystal clear for the first time in months. Tyler was at school, the house was empty, and I had work to do. I spread the photos out on the kitchen table next to printouts of the text messages. The evidence of my wife's betrayal laid out like a case file. Then I opened my laptop and started typing. If Vanessa wanted to humiliate me, that was fine. But she'd made one critical mistake. She'd underestimated what I was capable of when I stopped playing nice. I started with her friends. Cass Morrison worked at the same company as Vanessa, in accounting. She was married to a deacon at their church and had 2 teenage daughters who went to private Catholic school. Belinda Torres was a real estate agent whose husband ran for city council every 2 years. She'd built her reputation on being a family values candidate's wife. Tara Williams was single but worked at an elementary school and coached Little League softball. She was also sleeping with her married principal, based on the text messages I'd found. I had dirt on all of them, and they had no idea what was coming. My phone rang. "Vanessa, Oz, please, we need to talk about this like adults." "Adults don't screw around in motel rooms, Vanessa. It just happened. I never meant for it to go this far." "How far? 6 months? A year? When exactly did you decide our marriage was over without bothering to tell me?" Silence on the other end. "I want a divorce," she said finally. "Good, so do I. But first, I want everyone to know exactly what kind of person you really are." "You can't?" I hung up. My laptop chimed with a new email from MJ's Instagram account, which was apparently public and full of gym selfies and motivational quotes about living your best life. I scrolled through his posts until I found what I was looking for, a group photo from last weekend, MJ and several other trainers at some kind of fitness expo. I recognized 2 of the other trainers from the gym. One of them was married to a woman who worked at Tyler's school. Perfect. I opened a new browser window and started creating anonymous email accounts. If Vanessa wanted to play dirty, I could play dirty too, but I was going to be much better at it. By the time Tyler got home from school, I had sent 23 carefully crafted emails to strategic recipients across our social circle. Nothing illegal, nothing that could be traced back to me, just the truth delivered to people who deserved to know it. "Dad?" Tyler found me in the garage. organizing my tools with the kind of manic precision that usually meant I was either very angry or very focused. You okay? I looked at my son, really looked at him. He had Vanessa's eyes, but my stubborn chin, and right now he looked worried. Your mom and I are going to get divorced, I said, because Tyler was smart enough to figure it out anyway, and he deserved honesty. He nodded slowly. Because she's cheating. It wasn't a question. How long have you known? I asked. Couple months. She's been getting texts at weird times, and last week I saw her putting makeup on in the car before she came in the house. Tyler shrugged with the kind of forced casualness that broke my heart. Plus, she's been treating you like crap, and you've been walking around looking like someone kicked your dog. Smart kid. Too smart. Are you okay? I asked. Are you? I considered lying, then decided Tyler had heard enough lies lately. No, but I'm going to be. My phone buzzed. A text from Nate. Holy crap, did you see Facebook? I hadn't, but I checked now. Cass Morrison had posted a frantic status update. Some sick person is spreading lies about me and my friends. Please ignore any emails you might receive. This is harassment and I'm calling the police. The post had 17 comments, mostly from people asking what emails she was talking about. Several people mentioned they hadn't received any emails, but now they were curious. I smiled. Panic makes people stupid. Belinda had posted something similar, but she'd made the mistake of being specific. Someone is spreading rumors about extramarital affairs. These are completely false, and I'm consulting my lawyer. Her husband had commented, What rumors? What affairs? Oh, this was going to be fun. Tyler was reading over my shoulder. You're evil, he said, but he was grinning. I'm thorough, I corrected. My phone rang. Vanessa again. What did you do? She demanded without preamble. I told the truth. You should try it sometime. Cass is getting calls from people at work. Belinda's husband is asking questions. You need to stop this. I need to stop this? I'm not the one who's been screwing around for 6 months. It wasn't 6 months. Oh, excuse me. How long was it? I want to make sure I get the timeline right when people ask. Silence. Oz, please. Think about Tyler. Think about our family. I did think about our family. Every night while you were out working late, and every morning when you lied to my face about where you'd been, our family stopped existing the moment you decided MJ's Johnson was more important than your marriage. She hung up on me. Tyler was staring at me with wide eyes. Dad, did you just... Yeah, and I'm not sorry. The doorbell rang. Through the window, I could see Tara Williams on my front porch, looking like she wanted to commit homicide. Stay in the kitchen, I told Tyler. I opened the door with my best innocent expression. Tara, what a surprise. Cut the crap, Oz. I know what you did. What did I do? You sent that email to Principal Martinez about me and him. Did I? That's a serious accusation. Do you have proof? Her face was red with fury. You're going to ruin my career over some stupid misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? Is that what we're calling adultery now? It's not adultery if I'm not married. No, but he is. And last I checked, sleeping with your boss while working at an elementary school was frowned upon. Something about moral standards and setting a good example. Tara stepped closer, trying to intimidate me. She was a small woman, barely 5 feet tall, but she had the kind of rage that made her seem bigger. You fix this or I'll make your life heck. My life is already heck, thanks to your friend. You can't make it worse. I can make Tyler's life heck. Kids talk, you know, about their parents' messy divorces, about fathers who can't keep their wives happy. The mention of Tyler flipped a switch in my brain. The cold, calculating part of me that had been enjoying this game suddenly turned hot and dangerous. Let me make something very clear, I said, my voice dropping to barely above a whisper. You can come after me all you want, but if you so much as breathe on my son, if you make his life difficult in any way, I will destroy you so completely that you'll wish you'd never been born. Something in my expression must have convinced her I wasn't bluffing, because she took a step back. This isn't over, she said. Yes, it is. You just don't know it yet. After she left, Tyler came out of the kitchen. She seemed nice. Your mother has terrible taste in friends. Had. Past tense. Smart kid. That evening, while Tyler was doing homework, I got a call from an unknown number. Is this Owen Riley? The voice was young, male, and pissed off. Depends who's asking. This is Marcus Johnson. I think we need to talk. I think we said everything we needed to say at the motel. Look, old man, I don't know what game you're playing, but you need to back off. Vanessa's a grown woman. She can make her own choices. You're absolutely right. She chose to cheat on her husband and lie to her son. She chose to throw away 15 years of marriage for a 29-year-old with the emotional maturity of a teenager. She chose to humiliate me in front of our entire social circle. And I'm choosing to make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of person she really is. You're pathetic, you know that? Clinging to a woman who doesn't want you anymore. I laughed, and it wasn't a pleasant sound. I'm not clinging to anything. I'm letting go, but I'm going to make sure the landing hurts. You better watch yourself. I know where you live. So does the pizza delivery guy. That's not as threatening as you think it is. The line went dead. I sat back in my chair thinking. MJ was getting desperate, which meant my plan was working. Desperate people make mistakes, and I was counting on it. My laptop chimed with a new email from Vanessa's work account, which was interesting since it was almost 10 p.m. Oz, please call me. We need to talk about this like civilized adults. I know you're hurt, but destroying my friendships won't fix our marriage. V, I typed back. Our marriage was over the moment you decided to start screwing your personal trainer. I'm not trying to fix it. I'm trying to end it. There's a difference. Her response came immediately. What do you want? Money? The house? I'll give you whatever you want if you stop this. I want everyone to know who you really are. I want your friends to face consequences for encouraging you to cheat on your husband. I want MJ to understand that actions have consequences. And I want Tyler to see that his father isn't a pushover who'll let people walk all over him. You're scaring me. Good. You should be scared. You have no idea what I'm capable of when you threaten my family. I closed the laptop and went to check on Tyler. He was in his room, supposedly doing math homework, but actually playing games on his phone. How you holding up, buddy? He shrugged. Okay, I guess. It's weird, you know? Like, I always thought you and Mom were solid. Even when you fought, it never seemed like divorce-level stuff. Sometimes people change. Sometimes they become people you don't recognize. Are you going to be okay? Like, financially and stuff? I sat on the edge of his bed. Yeah, we'll be fine. The house is in both our names, and I make decent money. We might have to tighten our belts a little, but we'll be okay. What about Mom? What about her? Is she going to be okay? I looked at my son, this kid who was worried about the woman who'd blown up his family, and felt a surge of pride. He was a better person than I was. Your mom made her choices. Now she has to live with the consequences. But she's a grown woman with a job and friends. She'll figure it out. Tyler nodded, but he still looked worried. Dad, when you said you were going to make everyone know who Mom really is, what did you mean? I considered my answer carefully. Tyler was 14, old enough to understand that the world was complicated and sometimes ugly, but young enough that I still wanted to protect him from the worst of it. I meant that your mom and her friends thought they could lie and cheat and hurt people without any consequences. I'm showing them they were wrong. Are you going to hurt them? Not physically, but I'm going to make sure everyone knows the truth about what they did. And when people know the truth, they make different choices about who they want to be friends with and who they want to trust. Tyler was quiet for a long moment. Then, good. Mom hurt you, and she hurt me too, even if she doesn't think she did. People should know. I kissed the top of his head and turned off his light. Get some sleep, buddy. Tomorrow's going to be interesting. I woke up to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. Apparently, word had gotten out. The first call was from Vanessa, sobbing. They fired me, Oz. They actually fired me. Who fired you? My boss. Someone sent him screenshots of my text messages, the explicit ones. He said I was using company time for personal business and that my behavior reflected poorly on the company's values. I poured myself coffee and tried to sound sympathetic. That's terrible. Who would do such a thing? Don't play dumb with me. I know it was you. I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't even know your boss's email address. It was technically true. I didn't know his email address, but his assistant's information was on the company website. And she'd been very helpful when I'd called yesterday asking for the best way to report inappropriate workplace behavior. You're destroying my life. I'm not destroying anything. I'm just making sure people have all the information they need to make informed decisions. What about Tyler? How's he supposed to feel when his friends' parents won't let them come over because his mother is the neighborhood hoe? The word hit me like a physical blow. Not because she'd used it, but because she'd finally admitted what she was. You should have thought about that before you started sleeping around. I made a mistake. You made dozens of mistakes for months. This wasn't some one-night stand, Vanessa. This was a deliberate, ongoing betrayal of everything we built together. She was crying harder now. I can't afford the apartment without my job. I don't have anywhere to go. You can go to MJ's place. I'm sure he'll be happy to support you. He broke up with me yesterday, said I was too much drama. Of course he did. MJ was a predator who liked easy targets, not complicated situations with angry husbands and public humiliation. That's not my problem anymore. Please, Oz, I'll do anything. I'll go to counseling. I'll cut off all contact with my friends. I'll be the wife you want me to be. The wife I wanted you to be was faithful. That ship has sailed. I hung up and checked my other messages. Nate had sent me a link to a Facebook post from Belinda's husband. After 22 years of marriage, I'm heartbroken to announce that my wife and I are separating. I've recently learned about infidelities that I cannot forgive. Please respect our privacy during this difficult time. The post had 127 comments, mostly from people expressing shock and asking for details. Cass had deleted her Facebook account entirely, which was probably smart. Tara had been suspended from her job pending an investigation into her relationship with the principal, who had also been suspended. My phone rang. Tyler's school. Mr. Riley, this is Mrs. Henderson, Tyler's guidance counselor. I was hoping we could schedule a meeting to discuss how the current family situation might be affecting Tyler's academic performance. Is he having problems? Not academically, no. But some of the other students have been talking about the divorce. I just want to make sure Tyler has the support he needs. What kind of talking? Mrs. Henderson sighed. You know how teenagers are. They hear things from their parents and they repeat them, sometimes in ways that aren't very kind. My blood pressure spiked. What exactly are they saying? Perhaps we should discuss this in person. Are you available this afternoon? I agreed to meet with her at 3 p.m., then called my supervisor to let him know I'd be leaving early. 20 years with the company had earned me some flexibility. When I got to Tyler's school, Mrs. Henderson was waiting in her office with a cup of tea and a concerned expression. Tyler is handling this situation remarkably well, considering, she began. But there have been some incidents. What kind of incidents? Some of the older students have been making comments about his mother's situation and about the circumstances of your divorce. What kind of comments? Mrs. Henderson looked uncomfortable. Crude jokes, inappropriate speculation, the kind of thing that happens when adults don't keep their private business private. I felt my jaw clench. Are you suggesting this is my fault? I'm not suggesting anything. I'm just saying that when family drama becomes public, it often affects the children involved. My family drama became public because my wife decided to cheat on me with a man barely older than her own son. If people are talking, it's because she gave them something to talk about. Mr. Riley, I understand you're angry. Do you? Do you understand what it's like to find out your wife has been lying to you for months? Do you understand what it's like to discover that your friends knew about it and thought it was entertaining? Mrs. Henderson held up her hands. I'm not judging anyone. I'm just concerned about Tyler. So am I. That's why I'm making sure he understands that actions have consequences and that people who betray your trust don't deserve your protection. And if that means he gets teased at school, then he learns that life isn't fair and that sometimes you have to deal with other people's stupidity. Better he learns that now than when he's an adult. I left the meeting feeling frustrated and angry, not at Mrs. Henderson, who was just doing her job, but at the situation Vanessa had created. Tyler was going to pay for his mother's mistakes, and there was nothing I could do about it. When I got home, Tyler was sitting at the kitchen table with his homework spread out in front of him. He looked up when I walked in. How was school? I asked. Interesting. Jimmy Martinez asked if it was true that Mom was sleeping with her personal trainer. My heart sank. What did you tell him? I told him it was none of his business. Then I told him his dad was sleeping with Miss Williams, so maybe he should worry about his own family's problems. I stared at my son. Tyler, what? It's true, isn't it? You said Miss Williams was sleeping with the principal. Jimmy's dad is the principal. Yes, but... So now Jimmy knows what it feels like to have everyone talking about his parents. Fair's fair. I sat down across from him. How do you feel about all this? Really? Tyler was quiet for a moment, chewing on his pencil eraser. Angry mostly, at Mom for lying, at her friends for encouraging her, at everyone who thinks this is funny or entertaining. Are you angry at me? For what? For making it public. For not just quietly getting divorced and moving on. Tyler looked at me like I'd asked him if he was angry at gravity. Dad, she cheated on you. She lied to both of us. She was going to keep lying if you hadn't caught her. Why should you protect her from the consequences? Because it's affecting you too. Good. Maybe it'll teach me not to trust people just because they're supposed to love me. The cynicism in his voice broke my heart. Tyler, not everyone is like your mother. Most people are decent and honest. Are they? Because it seems like a lot of people knew what Mom was doing, and none of them thought to tell you. He had a point. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is Cass. We need to talk. Meet me at Murphy's at 8 p.m. I showed Tyler the message. What do you think? Trap? Probably. But it might be fun to see what she wants. At 8 p.m., I walked into Murphy's to find Cass Morrison sitting in a corner booth, looking like she'd aged 5 years in the past week. She was alone, nursing a glass of white wine and staring at her phone. Oz? She looked up when I approached. Thank you for coming. I slid into the booth across from her. What do you want, Cass? I want you to stop. This has gone far enough. Has it? Because from where I'm sitting, it's just getting started. Cass's eyes filled with tears. My husband is talking about divorce. My daughters won't speak to me. I lost my job today. That's terrible. What does it have to do with me? You know what it has to do with you. You sent those emails. You ruined my life. I didn't ruin anything. I just told people what you were already doing. I wasn't sleeping around. I encouraged Vanessa. I thought she deserved to be happy. She was married, Cass. She had a family. She was happy, or at least she could have been if she'd tried. You don't understand what it's like. Being married to the same person for 20 years, feeling invisible, feeling like you're just going through the motions. So, you convinced my wife to cheat instead of talking to me about our problems? Cass looked down at her wine. It wasn't like that. What was it like? She was miserable, Oz. She felt trapped and unappreciated. MJ made her feel alive again. MJ made her feel like a piece of meat. There's a difference. She loved him. She loved the attention. She loved feeling wanted. She loved having a secret that made her feel special. She didn't love him, and he sure as heck didn't love her. Cass was crying openly now. Please, I have children. I can't lose my family over this. You should have thought about that before you decided to help destroy mine. What do you want? Money? I'll pay you to stop. I leaned forward. I want you to understand something. You and your friends treated my marriage like entertainment. You encouraged my wife to lie to me and cheat on me because you thought it was fun. You made jokes about me, called me boring and pathetic, and never once considered that I'm a real person with real feelings. I'm sorry. No, you're not. You're sorry you got caught. You're sorry there are consequences. But you're not sorry for what you did. I stood up to leave, then turned back. By the way, your husband called me yesterday. He wanted to thank me for opening his eyes. Apparently, you've been hiding a lot more than just your friend's affair. Cass went white. What did you tell him? The truth about the credit cards you've been hiding. About the money you've been spending on clothes and spa days while telling him you needed to cut back on expenses. About the lunch dates with your ex-boyfriend from college. How did you? You talk too much, Cass, especially when you're drunk. Vanessa recorded some of your girls' nights. Did you know that? She thought they were funny. Home movies of her friends spilling their secrets. I left her there, crying into her wine, and walked out into the night, feeling lighter than I had in months. The game was almost over, but I had one more move to make. The next morning, I woke up to find my car keyed and my mailbox knocked over. A note was tucked under my windshield wiper. Back off or it gets worse. MJ. I took pictures of everything and called the police to file a report. Then I called Nate. You ready for the grand finale? I asked. What do you have in mind? Remember what you said about making sure everyone knows? I think it's time for a public demonstration. MJ had made a critical error. He'd escalated to property damage, which meant he was desperate and stupid. Desperate and stupid people are easy to manipulate. I spent the morning setting up cameras around my house, small wireless ones that would record everything and upload it to the cloud. If MJ wanted to play games, I wanted documentation. Then I sent him a text from a burner phone. Vanessa wants to see you. Says she has something important to tell you. Red Roof Inn, room 237, 3 p.m. His response was immediate. Who is this? A friend. She's scared to contact you directly because of her husband. Why should I trust you? Because she's pregnant. It was a lie, but it was the kind of lie that would get his attention. Men like MJ were terrified of consequences, especially the kind that lasted 18 years. At 2:45 p.m., I was parked across from the Red Roof Inn, watching MJ pace in front of room 237. He'd been there for 10 minutes, trying to figure out why the keycard wasn't working. At 3 p.m. exactly, I called him. "Looking for someone? Where is she?" His voice was tight with panic. "She's not coming, but I am." I got out of my car and walked across the parking lot. MJ saw me coming, and his face went through several emotions: confusion, anger, and finally understanding. "You son of a witch." "Careful. There are children around." "What do you want?" "I want to have a conversation. Man to man." MJ looked around the parking lot, probably calculating whether he could take me in a fight. I was older and smaller, but I was also angrier and had less to lose. "There's nothing to talk about," he said finally. "Sure there is. Like why you thought it was a good idea to vandalize my property." "I don't know what you're talking about." I held up my phone, showing him the photos I'd taken that morning. "Keying someone's car is a felony, Marcus. Destruction of property over $1,000. My car's worth 15 grand. His face went pale. "You can't prove I did that." "Maybe not in court, but I don't need to prove it in court." I opened my laptop and showed him the screen. Facebook was loaded with a new post ready to go. The post included the photos of my vandalized car, screenshots of his threatening text, and a detailed timeline of his relationship with my wife. "One click," I said, "and everyone you know sees this. Your gym buddies, your clients, your family, everyone. You're bluffing." "Am I?" I moved my finger toward the mouse button. MJ grabbed my wrist. "Wait. I'm listening. What do you want?" "I want you to understand that actions have consequences. You thought you could screw my wife, trash talk me to your friends, and threaten my family without anything happening to you. You were wrong." "Look, man, I'm sorry about your car. I'll pay for the damage." "It's not about the car." "Then what?" "It's about respect. You disrespected me, my marriage, and my family. You treated us like we didn't matter." MJ was sweating now, despite the cool October air. "What do you want me to do?" "I want you to disappear. Delete Vanessa's number. Delete her friends' numbers. Find a new gym, a new neighborhood, a new life that doesn't intersect with mine in any way." "And if I don't?" I clicked the mouse. The post went live. "Then everyone knows what kind of person you really are." MJ stared at the screen as comments started appearing on the post. His friends and clients reading about his affair with a married woman, his threats against her husband, his destruction of property. "You bastard." "Probably, but I'm a bastard who keeps his promises and protects his family. Remember that?" I closed the laptop and walked back to my car, leaving MJ standing in the parking lot with his reputation in ruins. But I wasn't done yet. That evening, Tyler and I ordered pizza and sat down to watch the show. My Facebook post had been shared 47 times and had 112 comments. MJ's gym had posted a statement distancing themselves from his personal conduct. 3 of his clients had publicly canceled their training sessions. "Dad," Tyler said, scrolling through the comments on his phone, "you're kind of scary when you're angry." "Good. Maybe people will think twice before messing with us." My phone rang. Vanessa, of course. "Are you happy now?" she demanded. "MJ lost his job because of your post." "Good. Maybe he'll think twice before sleeping with married women. You've destroyed everything. My job, my friends, my relationship. I have nothing left. You have Tyler, if you want him." "Of course I want him. He's my son." "Then start acting like his mother instead of a teenager with a credit card." "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means grow up, Vanessa. Take responsibility for what you did. Stop blaming everyone else for the consequences of your choices." "I made mistakes." "You made choices. There's a difference." I hung up and turned back to Tyler, who was reading something on his laptop. "What's that?" "Miss Williams got arrested," he said, "for having inappropriate relationships with students." I felt my blood run cold. "Students? Plural?" "Says here the investigation started because of the thing with the principal, but then other students came forward. Apparently she's been doing this for years." Jesus. I thought Tara was just a homewrecker, but she was something much worse. "Dad, are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm glad she's not around kids anymore." "Me too. That's really messed up." We sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the Red Sox lose to the Yankees. Finally, Tyler spoke up. So, what happens now? Now your mom and I get divorced. She finds a new place to live, probably gets a new job. We figure out custody and child support and all the boring legal stuff. And then we move on. We build a new life. Just the two of us. We learn to trust people again, but more carefully this time. Tyler nodded. Will you date again? The question caught me off guard. I don't know. Maybe someday. Why? Just wondering. If you do, can you pick someone who's not crazy? I laughed, the first genuine laugh I'd had in weeks. I'll do my best. My phone buzzed with a text from Nate. Check the news. I turned on the local news station just in time to catch the tail end of a story about a corruption investigation at Tyler's school. Apparently, the principal had been embezzling money from the athletic department to pay for his affair with Tara Williams. Holy crap, I breathed. Language, Tyler said automatically. Sorry, but this is bigger than I thought. The news story continued. The school board was conducting a full investigation. The principal was facing criminal charges and several other staff members were under scrutiny. Dad, Tyler said slowly, when you sent those emails about Miss Williams and the principal, did you know about the money stuff? No, I just knew they were having an affair. So you accidentally uncovered a major corruption scandal? Apparently. Tyler grinned. That's awesome. You're like a detective. I'm like a guy who got really angry and decided to burn everything down. Same thing. My laptop chimed with a new email from Belinda Torres. You win. I'm leaving town. My marriage is over, my real estate license is suspended, and my kids won't speak to me. I hope you're satisfied. I was, actually. Not because I enjoyed her pain, but because she was finally facing consequences for her actions. Another email from Cass. My husband filed for divorce today. The girls are staying with him. I'm moving in with my sister in Florida. I hope someday you can forgive me. I deleted it without responding. Forgiveness was for people who were sorry for what they'd done, not just sorry they got caught. A third email from an address I didn't recognize. Mr. Riley, this is Detective Sarah Martinez with the School District Police. I'd like to speak with you about the information you provided regarding inappropriate conduct at Tyler's school. Can you call me at your earliest convenience? I showed the email to Tyler. Looks like I'm going to be famous. Good famous or bad famous? Depends on your perspective, I guess. I called Detective Martinez and spent an hour on the phone explaining how I'd discovered the affair between Tara Williams and the principal. She was particularly interested in the timeline and whether I had any evidence of financial impropriety. I didn't know about the money, I told her. I was just trying to expose the affair. Well, you exposed a lot more than that. We found evidence of embezzlement going back 3 years. Your tip opened up a major investigation. After I hung up, Tyler looked at me with something approaching awe. Dad, you took down a whole corruption ring. I took down a cheating wife and accidentally stumbled onto some other stuff. Still pretty epic. I had to agree. 3 weeks later, I was sitting on my front porch with a beer, watching the news vans pack up and leave the neighborhood. The corruption scandal at Tyler's school had made national news, and somehow I'd become the whistleblower who brought it all down. The truth was simpler. I'd been a pissed-off husband who wanted revenge, and I'd gotten lucky. Vanessa had moved out the week before, taking only her clothes and personal items. She'd found a studio apartment across town and a job waiting tables at a chain restaurant. It was a far cry from her HR manager position, but it was honest work, which was more than she'd been doing for the past 6 months. MJ had disappeared entirely. Rumor had it he'd moved to Florida, but I didn't care enough to verify it. Cass was living with her sister in Tampa, working at a call center and trying to rebuild her relationship with her daughters. Belinda had moved to Arizona and was working as a secretary while she tried to get her real estate license reinstated. Tara Williams was in jail awaiting trial on charges of inappropriate conduct with minors and conspiracy to commit embezzlement. The principal was also in jail, facing charges of embezzlement, fraud, and inappropriate conduct. Tyler's school had gotten a new principal, a new guidance counselor, and a complete overhaul of their financial oversight procedures. And me? I was exactly where I'd started. A union electrician with a sharp tongue and a stubborn streak. But I was also something I hadn't been in months. Happy. Tyler came out onto the porch with his own soda and sat down beside me. So, he said, how does it feel to be the guy who took down the most corrupt school district in Massachusetts history? I didn't take down anything. I just told the truth about some people who deserved to be exposed. The newspaper called you a hero. The newspaper called me a lot of things, not all of them flattering. It was true, the coverage had been mixed. Some outlets portrayed me as a wronged husband who'd accidentally uncovered corruption. Others suggested I was a vindictive ex who'd gone too far in his quest for revenge. I didn't care what they called me. I knew what I was, a man who'd refused to be a victim. Any regrets? Tyler asked. I considered the question seriously. Did I regret destroying Vanessa's life, her friends' lives, the chaos I'd unleashed? No, I said finally. I regret that it was necessary. I regret that your mother made the choices she made, but I don't regret holding people accountable for their actions, even if it hurt innocent people. Like who? Like Cass's daughters, like Belinda's kids. They didn't do anything wrong, but their lives got turned upside down too. Tyler was right, and it was something that had been bothering me. The collateral damage of my revenge had affected children who had no part in their parents' bad decisions. You're right, I admitted. And I'm sorry about that. But their parents should have thought about the consequences before they decided to help destroy our family. Do you think Mom will ever forgive you? I don't think forgiveness is the right word. I think someday she might understand why I did what I did, but I'm not looking for her forgiveness. I'm looking for her to take responsibility. Has she? She's getting there. The job at the restaurant is humbling her. Living in that studio apartment is teaching her what real consequences look like. Maybe she'll learn something from all this. My phone rang. Detective Martinez. Mr. Riley, I wanted to give you an update on the investigation. I'm listening. We've uncovered evidence of embezzlement totaling over $200,000. The principal and Williams were using the money to fund their relationship. Hotel rooms, trips, expensive gifts. We've also found evidence that Williams was involved with at least 3 students over the past 2 years. My stomach turned. Jesus! There's more. We think there may be other staff members involved. This is going to be a long investigation. What do you need from me? Nothing more right now. You've given us everything we need to move forward. I just wanted to thank you. If you hadn't come forward, this might have gone on for years. After I hung up, Tyler looked at me with concern. You okay, Dad? Just thinking about how much worse this could have gotten if I hadn't been angry enough to dig into people's private lives. You saved those kids? I saved myself. Saving those kids was just a side effect. But Tyler was right, in a way. My selfish quest for revenge had accidentally protected children from a predator. It didn't make me a hero, but it made the whole mess feel slightly less ugly. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and red. It had been exactly 1 month since I'd found that motel keycard in Vanessa's purse. 1 month since my world had exploded, and I'd decided to explode everyone else's world in return. Dad? Tyler's voice was thoughtful. Do you think you'll ever trust anyone again? Like, really trust them? It was a good question. The betrayal had cut deep, deeper than I'd expected. Not just Vanessa's betrayal, but the betrayal of her friends who'd known and said nothing. The betrayal of a community that had treated my humiliation as entertainment. I think I'll trust differently, I said finally. More carefully. I'll pay attention to actions instead of words. I'll trust people to be who they show me they are, not who I want them to be. That sounds lonely. Maybe, but it's honest. And honest is better than naive. Tyler nodded, processing this. At 14, he was learning lessons about human nature that most people didn't learn until much later. It wasn't fair, but life rarely was. Are you proud of what you did? He asked. I'm proud that I didn't let people walk all over me. I'm proud that I fought back when someone tried to destroy my family. I'm proud that I showed you that actions have consequences, even when those actions are committed by people who think they're untouchable. But I'm not proud of the collateral damage. I'm not proud of the fact that other kids got hurt because their parents made bad choices. I'm not proud of how much I enjoyed watching people's lives fall apart. Even moms? I thought about Vanessa, working double shifts at a chain restaurant, living in a studio apartment with furniture from Goodwill, facing the reality of what her choices had cost her. Even your moms. She's still your mother, Tyler. She made terrible choices, but she's not a terrible person. She's just someone who lost her way and dragged a lot of other people down with her. Do you still love her? The question hit me like a punch to the gut. Did I still love the woman who'd betrayed me so completely? Did I love the mother of my child, even after everything she'd done? I love who she used to be, I said carefully. I love the woman I married 15 years ago, I love the woman who gave me you, but the woman who cheated on me with MJ and laughed about it with her friends? No, I don't love her. I don't even know her. Tyler was quiet for a long moment. Then, I think I understand. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. For a moment, I tensed, wondering if it was another threat from MJ or a plea from one of Vanessa's friends. Instead, it was from someone named Jennifer Walsh. Hi, I'm a reporter with the Boston Globe. I'm writing a follow-up story about the school corruption scandal, and I'd love to interview you about how you uncovered it. Are you available this week? I showed the text to Tyler. What do you think? Should I talk to more reporters? What would you tell them? The truth. That I was a pissed-off husband who wanted revenge and accidentally stumbled onto a bigger story? That's not very heroic. No, but it's honest, and I'm done pretending to be something I'm not. I typed back, thanks for the interest, but I've said everything I have to say. The story isn't about me. It's about the kids who were being hurt and the system that failed to protect them. Tyler read my response and grinned. Very diplomatic. I learned from the best. Your mother was always good with words. Was she good at other things too, before all this happened? I thought about the early years of our marriage, when Vanessa and I were young and stupid and convinced we could conquer the world together. She'd been funny and smart and fiercely loyal. She'd been the kind of person who would drive across town to bring you soup when you were sick, who remembered your birthday and your favorite pizza toppings and the names of your coworkers' kids. She was good at a lot of things, I said. She was a good friend, a good employee, a good mother when she wanted to be. She just forgot how to be a good wife. Do you think she'll remember? Maybe with someone else someday, but not with me. Too much has happened. The street was quiet now, most of our neighbors inside having dinner or watching television. It was the kind of peaceful evening I'd taken for granted before my world exploded. Now I appreciated it more. Dad, are we going to be okay? Yeah, buddy, we're going to be better than okay. We're going to be honest with each other, and we're going to build something real, something that can't be destroyed by lies or betrayal or other people's bad choices. Promise? Promise. Tyler finished his soda and stood up to go inside. I'm proud of you, for fighting back, for not just letting them get away with it. After he went inside, I sat on the porch for another hour, watching the stars come out and thinking about the past month. I'd set out to destroy the people who'd betrayed me, and I'd succeeded beyond my wildest expectations. But in the process, I'd also discovered something about myself. I was stronger than I'd thought, meaner than I'd wanted to be, and more resilient than I'd ever imagined. Tomorrow, the divorce papers would be finalized. Vanessa would officially become my ex-wife, and I would officially become a single father. It wasn't the life I'd planned, but it was the life I'd earned through 15 years of loyalty and 1 month of perfectly executed revenge. I raised my beer to the empty street, toasting the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. Here's to consequences, I said to no one in particular, and here's to the people brave enough to enforce them. Then, I went inside to help Tyler with his homework, leaving the porch light on and the past behind me.